Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Sarah Louise, and today I wanted to make a video following up from yesterday's video that I posted because some of the comments or one of the comments made me realize a little bit deeper on that topic. So today's topic is not giving loyalty to things that are not being loyal to you, and to constantly checking in on that process. And a really good metaphor for this is, you know, we've all joined up to various schemes, right, where we're on direct debits, whether it's like, you know, like bills or mental block. You can see that I put my things up live, whether it's bills or you know, insurance policies or just anything where we direct debit something. What you'll notice is, and it's a really good tip for anyone that doesn't do this already, is that they never put your price down. It will go up, it will eke up, it will eke up, it will eke up, and they will just constantly see how much they can get away with until you say, hey, I'm going to go look for some other deals. And actually you'll find that people are joining the same thing that you're on, and they'll be getting much better deals because they'll be joining, and there'll be intro deals, and they'll be doing things to entice people. Actually, in the past, loyalty did used to actually get you rewards, but today, in today's society, generally loyalty gets you nowhere. Staying with the same brand only gets you paying more for the same service. And it does you a lot of good to either phone them and say, hey, do you know what, I've just noticed that I'm paying quite a lot and I can get this deal here. Can you match it or I'm leaving? And this applies to everything. It applies to relationships, it applies to you know, your direct debits, it applies to your job. You know, I do believe it's important to constantly check in with yourself and think, what am I getting here? You know, obviously I'm not saying a relationship is like get, but it has to have some form of mutuality, unless the other person is literally incapacitated. You know, it has to have some form of mutual benefit, you know, that you're evolving, that you're growing, you're becoming a better person. If you feel like every year you're becoming less of yourself, more of a shell, you know, take stock of that. And that's really the point of this video. Take stock. Don't just accept things. Don't just mindlessly accept a little bit worse every month, a little bit worse every year, you know. And I saw someone say this about their job, you know, that if they don't stand up or move on to another one, they'll just, you know, be worked even harder. And this does happen, you know. You generally these days don't get a lot of benefits from being loyal to a company. They just think that they can get away without paying you much, and you each pay rise you have to kind of go fight for. So as somebody that doesn't have a job, I'm a freelancer, you know, that actually gives me a great opportunity all the time. But I know that if I have ongoing clients, they just take the pee out of me. And that happens all the time because they want me to do the same rate over many, like over a decade. And obviously things go up over a decade. In fact, sometimes they actually then try to use my niceness and my kindness, or the fact that I maybe need a job that month, and try and be like, oh, can you do it for less? Can you do it for less? Can you do it for less? And the thing is, if you're not really secure in yourself, it's really easy to just accept this. And I've done this so many times, like just accepted a lower rate because, you know, they come to me with a plea story. And I always regret it, because then I always see them off gallivanting all over the world, or you know, spending money on other things, but just basically paying me less. That has happened so many times as a photographer, where people have come to me with sob stories, clients, about how they just can't afford more. And then I see them sort of all over the world on holidays, and I just think, I'm not getting a holiday. I'm doing it for less so you can have a holiday and I'm not having one. And, you know, you really need to kind of grow in these areas and constantly just check in with yourself. You know, am I being respected here? Is my loyalty actually paying off? Am I being rewarded for my loyalty? You know, and in a relationship, this can happen as well, where you just end up giving a bit more and losing a bit of yourself. And you don't realize until suddenly one day you're like, you know, I've kind of lost myself here, and this is very one-sided. And I think it's really good to check in with oneself really regularly, actually. You know, is this mutually exclusive? The same can happen on platforms, and I'm having the same thing happen on Etsy right now. So Etsy used to be fantastic for sellers, used to be fantastic for small sellers. I used to love the platform. And bit by bit, they increase in the fees. They don't really tell you, they just sneak it in. And then there's probably some email that, you know, we didn't read because we get so many. And then what they start doing is adding on this advertising thing that you have to actually manually go in and turn off, that again, if you didn't see the update, is just added onto your account, and then you're losing up to 25% on items plus a listing. If you don't sell, I was losing 30% at one point on some of my sales, and I was like, what's going on here? And that caused me to kind of look into it. But you know, without reading all these tiny little details and things and emails, which we get way too many to do that, you know, you wouldn't realize. And now there's a thing where they are holding back a lot of people's money and retaining it for 6 weeks. And some people, you know, that's their livelihood. But the more that we tolerate and the more that we just sort of allow this, the more and more it's like they pull the rug, they pull the rug, they pull the rug. And then you kind of trapped in at that point, right? Because these people are like, well, this is my only platform. So what am I gonna do? I have to still stick with these horrible terms and conditions. And they did it with stock sites as well, where you used to upload photography to stock sites. And initially it was quite good for the photographers. And then it got to a point where you would be paid 10 cents per image, when obviously they're probably getting dollars, like $10 for this picture. You know, that's like a terrible commission rate, right? And I'm just talking from some of my experiences. And I also know with like policies, there's been some where I've ended up suddenly realizing I'm paying a lot, and I've cancelled it, gone back to the same people as a new person, and got it for half the price. So in life, I'm afraid loyalty doesn't really get you anywhere. Obviously, loyalty is beautiful when you're in a mutually exchangeable loyal system where you're getting rewarded for your loyalty. I'm not saying in a relationship, that's a bit different. You don't need to get rewarded for your loyalty, but you get rewarded in the sense that they're loyal, you're both helping one another grow, and you're becoming a better version of yourself through that relationship. And in other areas, you know, that applies everywhere really. Are you getting that two-way street in everything you're doing? Or are you just basically being exploited and taken advantage of because you're nice, because you're loyal, because you're a bit lazy, because you don't have time to look for offers on every single thing you do all the time? But unfortunately, that's kind of how we have to be if we don't want to be exploited by all these people. And we have to kind of, the earlier we realize it, the better. I was also on this blogging platform, and basically it all started out rosy, because this is what happens. It's a bit like a gaslighting relationship that all these people pull on you. They sort of run in love bombing you, like, look at this deal you can have, look at this offer you can have. Wow, we're going to upvote all your posts like with crazy amounts of money, so you want to stay. And then bit by bit, they will sort of take away from you when you're already kind of in when you're in the system. If they did it from the beginning, you just wouldn't bother. You'd just be like, this platform sucks, I'm not staying here. But they kind of pull you in, and then they take bits away. And this platform, honestly, would end up there where they'd be like, oh, you know, you're lucky if you make £1. And it was very much like gaslighting, which is what a lot of this stuff does. They'll bring you in under the love bombing, the super amazing, attractive deals. Look how amazing we are. Look how amazing I am as a platform, as a person, as an offer, as a healthcare. And then they will just do this bit by bit by bit. So I really believe that we have to take stock all the time, and I'm trying to get better at this. Like, take stock all the time. Am I being ripped off? Am I being exploited for being loyal? It's a big lesson for me in my work, the amount of times that I've like, and loyalty's great, you know, you don't mind giving people a little bit of a discount or keeping the rate a bit lower than everybody else's because they've been someone that's used you for a long time, right? That's great. But when they're suddenly paying about a third of what everyone else is paying, and then coming to you and kind of like begging for deals because they want to pay less this month, you know, that's when you kind of got to step up and think, I've got to look after myself here. And I'm a bit too nice. It's not really nice because it's more people pleasing, right? I'm more people pleasing in the past, where I used to just accept all these things all the time. And I am getting better at, you know, just looking after myself first and foremost. And then there's no reason why you can't be kind, you can't be generous, you can't repay loyalty to people. But if it's not a two-way street, you know, just leave it behind. And I've probably waffled and repeated loads, but hey, that's who I am. If you don't like it, don't watch, probably. Yeah, I have other clients that are so sweet. Like, I have one client and she overpays me. She tells me that because I try to do it cheaper as a friend, and she'll be like, no, I insist that I'm paying you more. And I'm really, really happy with what you've done. And I feel from her such an appreciation of loyalty, that even though I don't really do much photography, I would shoot for her any day of the week because I feel appreciated, right? Like if you're being loyal and you're doing favors, you want to feel appreciated, right? That is just the two-way street. You want to feel appreciated and like someone's respecting you. And when you don't have that, you know, I really do think it's time to check in with oneself. And that might mean moving a lot, you know, dumping all those clients. They don't respect me, I'm going to move on and find new ones. Dumping anyone that's like, you know, over a long period of time just taking the pee. Obviously, first of all, you can try and put up some boundaries, because maybe these people don't even realise. But obviously the big companies do. They know what they're doing. They know most people are too lazy or have too much going on in their life that they don't have time to go researching for other deals. So they just direct debits just come out. And that people generally don't notice when you eke it up a little bit. But a lot of these people maybe subconsciously do the same. And there's people in relationships that do the same. And all of a sudden you wake up one day and you realise how lopsided something is. You obviously wouldn't have signed up for it in the beginning, but because it's done bit by bit and it's like worn away at you, you don't realise. So yeah, today's sort of lesson of the day is you don't give loyalty when you're not getting respect and loyalty back for it. You know, don't be afraid to leave. And you get all these things I saw in the job thing, you know, where people say, oh, you move on a lot, like it's a bad thing. Well, you know, maybe I just don't want to tolerate being stuck and being exploited and taken advantage of by staying a long time. And you know, you get the same with relationships. If you move on, well, maybe, you know, you're just growing and evolving and you don't want to tolerate the same things anymore that you do now. You know, we're constantly evolving, we're spiritual beings having human experience, and you know, I think you do learn in life generally that it's all very well being nice and caring, and it's okay with people that can't give you anything back, but you know, don't be exploited, don't be taken advantage of. Hope everyone's good, and speak soon. Bye.